Howdy, SimTheWorld here. We are back with Farming Simulator 19, the Alpine expansion. So as you can see, it's the beginning of late summer. Our crop is ready for harvest. Got a huge canola field ready to go. We'll have to lease the equipment for that. But a more important update that I've made. So after much discussion with the townsfolk, we sat down at a town hall meeting to try to figure out the milk prices. And well, we may not be getting $2 a liter, but we were able to compromise with almost $1,900 for every 1,000 liters. I figure that's better than the prices they're offering by a substantial amount, almost $300. So in that regard, I think it's a win-win. They get their milk and we finally get some money out of it. Of course, I should mention some of that milk is over a year old, so I think we're going to be selling this as probably buttermilk because it's got a little bit of a tang to it. There's been a lot sitting in that tank for a long time. So if you're wondering, we are going to keep the time at 1 speed just to make sure we get this all loaded, we get all the milk taken over. Because in addition to the 27,000 liters here, I think we have quite a bit. Let's go jump over to the silo. Yeah, in that tank we have almost 250,000 liters. So this is going to be a major payday. We'll pay off the debt for the farm, which will be fantastic. The bank won't be hounding me every day over and over again. So that's a huge relief for me. And of course, we'll be able to start making upgrades to the farm. I've got a few pieces of equipment that I'd like to purchase next, and of course, I'd like to... We're going to have to see about a harvester, because if we're doing these fields ourselves, perhaps we're going to lease it this year. I don't feel like spending the money for that now. I don't think we're going to be ready for that either. But of course, after the upgrades for the cows, I think we're going to start investing in the crops. So let's go ahead, we're going to fill this the rest of the way, and we'll start taking this over to the dairy farm. I'm not going to time-lapse the whole thing, but we'll take the drive over, see how it goes with the tank. You guys can probably see a little bit of an issue I found with this tank. The dispense rate is absolutely insane. It's taken about 5-6 minutes for us to load this tanker, which I suppose at the same time I wouldn't expect this to be an instant transfusion of milk, but for the amount of milk that we're holding in that tank, we're going to need another, we're going to need another 4 trips. So, and this was only halfway, so that's going to be a 12-13 minute delay in filling the tank between trips. Of course, the money will make it all worth it in the end. But I was planning on moving this tank over just as soon as we were able to sell all the milk, because I can't move the tank over to the other farm until it's empty. But I think, at least for the time being, maybe I'll just sell this tank and we'll go without. That way, instead, we'll just leave it in the barn. It seems like there's plenty of room to hold the milk there, and we can just keep the tanker nearby for when we need to sell it. Because my goal is, hopefully, we don't need to worry too much about storing a bunch of milk out, like we've done before. Hopefully, we just get the right prices, and the town isn't too cheap. We're driving through town with this big tanker. I'm hitting some curbs, but since we're in the cab, you can't see my bad driving, right? That's the plan. Did we hit that pedestrian? Did we hit the sign? Who knows? You can't see. So let's roll this over to the... Hopefully this unloads just as quickly. See our beautiful seasoned ready trees that were planted. They look so terrible. Someday we'll get rid of those. Where's the sell point? Okay, it's right there. Hopefully I can get close. I didn't plan on cutting that tight. Let's see. There we go. We got the sell. Let's see, how slow will this be? Okay, it's moving a lot quicker. And we can see that money rolling right in our account. Hopefully this doesn't affect the price going forward for future trips. I don't think it will. Let's jump over and take a look. Yeah, the price seems to be steady, so that's good to see. We've made so much money. This was a good wait. This was worth the wait. Even though the locals are none too happy with us, hopefully that doesn't affect future sales. That was 100 grand. Wow. And that's only the first of 4 more trips. So you guys will be... I'm not going to time-lapse this again because of the insanely long fill time. I'll come back when this is all taken care of course. And you guys can see how much we made. See you in a few. So we've got the last tank of milk. It is just over halfway full. I made the other runs. Unfortunately, they pulled kind of the same stunt they pulled the last time we delivered milk, and on our last trip, they knocked the price down. I don't recall that being part of our compromise, but since it's already in the tanker, I'm not going to mess around. Still another 50,000, so I guess I can't complain that much. We went ahead and we pulled almost $500,000 today. Let's check out our finances real quick. Yeah, in total we made $500,000. So we can actually just pay off the rest of the loan for the farm. That is so nice to do, and we still have a lot of money left over. This was all supposed to happen during the winter. You guys weren't supposed to see any of that money exchange, but again, since the town was playing games with us, we were going to play right back, and it worked out in our favor. We walk away with still $300,000. I'm going to get this tank back to the farm. We're going to get this placed. I'm going to sell the milk tank that we have because I'm not going to use that going forward. We're just going to keep the milk stored in the barn. If we need more storage room, we can assess that at the time. But hopefully we're not going to have to hold out on the milk like that. The town, I don't know how much they're going to put up with our shenanigans. And I think this really set us far ahead. Even though it was at a delay, we did pay a lot of interest, all that good stuff. So I'll meet you over at the store to rent that harvester for the season, and I think we got a few more interesting tidbits in play. I'm not going to spoil the surprise. So the first thing I'm going to start off doing is we're going to sell this milk tank. There's no reason, and it's $11,000. It's not a lot extra, but of course every little bit helps. I'm going to lease this, and that's $10,000. We'll go ahead and get the front end attachment. I'll make sure to get the right one this time. I was also really smart this time, and I got a header trailer. That way we don't have issues. Of course, I have to find a good way to get out of here. Because yeah, if you don't remember, the last time I tried to get a header back to the farm, we had to kind of smash our way through a bridge, and of course that was not pleasant for anybody. But we have a lot to harvest. Of course, we're not taking any harvesting contracts this year. That's going to be different than the previous couple years. Because of the issues with the precision farming, specifically towards the yield potential, even on the contract harvests, you don't get the full yield out of the field, which means you can't finish the contract when the field only produces 60% of the crop, but you need 75% delivered in order to complete the contract. Oh, hit that sign. We're having some issues. So instead of messing around with any of those issues, I'm just going to ignore it, and we're going focused on harvesting our field. Or should I say our fields? So if you hadn't figured it out yet, we've got almost $300,000, and I think rather than waiting an extra year, I thought it was so convenient to be able to do all the The field prep, because we're playing with precision farmings, I have to test the soil of any new fields. We need to go ahead and then plow and lime and fertilize to the correct amounts. It's a lot of upfront work that we could wait until the spring for, but depending on what we plant, which we'll have to talk about, in a later episode, it makes a lot of sense just to get done before the season, especially if we're able to with the winter crop. Even then, we should be able to field prep. Let's actually, before I get too carried away, we got our canola field. Let's take a look at what our next crop should be. And we were talking about doing grass next and doing a rotation of wheat, canola, and grass. Interesting. I wonder if there's something more interesting to do. So after looking at the season's calendar, there's only a few crops we can plant in the winter like this. So will be our cereal crops, the canola, or we could do the oilseed and poplar. You guys can let me know what we should plant going forward. Either we go bounce between wheat and canola. Let's see if I remove it. You know what? That's not a bad rotation. That could be interesting, and we can always add more in the future. So let's go with that. That's a good rotation. So we will be able to field prep because both are able to be done in the winter. And of course, as for the new field, we could do one of these smaller fields up here. But for field 2 and field 3, it's not a huge price difference. That is really interesting. 234 to 238. Field 2 being more expensive is kind of strange, but I guess they are similar sizes. Interesting. So I'm buying field 3. There's canola already planted. Makes sense in my mind. We can do canola for both. I'm going to keep track of which, what we harvest from which fields. That way we know how much we make. I think precision farming already does that for us, which is nice. But I want to see, we paid $234,000, how much we make in the crop to offset that cost. Because remember, we didn't do anything to plant. We did some of the contracts on it. Ooh, I didn't like that. There we go. Patch. And of course, we've got the bigger trailer, so we can take the crop and not have to worry about any of that being an issue. Let me unfold this. We're going to get all set up to go and harvest. We'll be sure to... Hey, sir. You can wait a minute. Go ahead, get this turned on. We should be dropping the swath. That way we can get straw for the cows for the coming years. And let's get started. So in an effort to not make this video go on forever, I know we did a lot today. We got the harvester leased. We got half the field already harvested of canola, and you can see it already filled up half our tank. Of course, I was looking at pricing of canola right now, and we'll probably want to hold on to it and figure out what the best price is. I also want to keep moving today because it's going to rain tomorrow, or overnight it will rain. We might be able to harvest during the day, but it'll still be cloudy, so it looks like it'll start to dry, and maybe it'll dry out into the evening. But of course, I want to get as much of this harvested as possible, and that way we can start checking prices to when the ideal time to be would be to sell. Like if we look at canola on the price chart here, pop over. So really we should be waiting for autumn and early winter to sell. Right now we're at that 1,000, so we can get another 200 out of it. So we probably will end up storing it for a little bit, but that's because we're not worried about money. We're out of debt, where the cows are happy, all the milk is sold, and we've got a brand new field. I'm so excited about that. We've got so much work to do this fall. Of course, since we did some of the precision farming already in the last year, you guys can go check that out. We'll get some of that done over here and there, but we will come back for another episode in the, next day here. That way we can explore some of the other new items I want to purchase for the farm. But with that, hopefully you enjoyed this episode. Thanks for watching as I simulate my life one game at a time. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss any of the future action. You can follow on Twitter for updates of future games being played, as well as follow on Twitch, as I'll occasionally stream live. Thanks, and I'll see you next time at SimTheWorld.